Hello and welcome to Morning Fuel. I am your host, John Bundy, and you are here because you believe in the power of the spoken word and its ability to change lives, and that by sharing our stories, we can help others to overcome challenges that they cannot overcome on their own. Whether it's a victory you need to win in business or in your own personal life, you understand that answers can be found in listening to others who are willing to share their stories, knowing that their story ultimately doesn't belong to them. All right, today's guest has been the student of martial arts for over 40 years, and about 15 years ago found the wonderful arts that come from the Indonesian islands. The art is called Pencak Silat, a beautiful art that encompasses dance, internal development, self-defense of all kinds, and most importantly, community. He has become the leading expert in the art here in the U.S., and his dynamic martial arts program in Williamsburg, Virginia, has something for everyone. Children gain rock-solid self-confidence, build unshakable self-esteem, and hone razor-sharp focus, while adults get fit, improve flexibility, and quickly eliminate stress. Please help me in extending a warm Morning Fuel podcast welcome to founder of the Williamsburg Dojo, Guru Chris Robinson. Chris, man, freaking awesome to meet you, dude.
Great lead in.
Hey, yeah.
I need to listen to that every day.
Well, great, man. It'll be out in a couple of weeks. You can.
Affirmations.
Yes, yeah.
I have a friend of mine makes his snooze button or his alarm clock, him telling himself, get up, get up, get up.
Right.
I need a little bit of that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. It's one of my favorite things to do. So we immediately have something in common. And that is, it looks like we're both children of the 80s.
Yeah, 70s, 80s. Yeah.
Right. And we both love martial arts.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
I did. Well, think about it. Most boys, I'd say healthy boys, back in the 80s, were fans of Steven Seagal. Mm-hmm. Were fans of Van Damme.
Oh yeah.
Right. So you got all that stuff going on, all those martial arts movies. Now, if you're older than that, it's Bruce Lee. So all of this stuff going on. Jackie Chan is another one. And you watch those things, and you leave one of those films, and you are pumped, man. You think you can take on the world just by watching that stuff. Practicing, it's another thing.
Yeah.
Now, I actually met my wife at the dojo. We both had an English professor that also taught an Okinawan form of martial arts called Shorin-ryu. So
that was my first style.
Little forest school, and she made it to black belt. Mm-hmm. I made it to green, and I became a dad, and I was more into my girls than I was martial arts.
That's the path. That's okay.
But I still love it. But my wife, she is a finisher, man. She was a finisher before I was. She was 7 months pregnant at one point in her martial arts studies, and did some kind of, I think it was a front kick or something like that, and felt that. And she was like, okay, I'm going to take a break, had a baby, then went back and got her black belt.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. So I'm super proud of her. So,
man,
that's great. So how did you discover martial arts?
As a problem child in the middle 70s, my mom thought it'd be a good idea to have somebody give me a strong hand. I guess her hand got tired. So I started off with a Shorin-ryu path, moved into Shotokan, and then didn't have a love for it. It was just part of life for me. Just martial arts was just the same as going to play basketball after school or whatever. And then when I got into my early 20s, then I found a love for it. Then it was my choice, and I picked my arts and did it my way. It's funny you said that about the superheroes or the superstars. I have kids now in my school. I'm like, who's your favorite superhero? And I'm like, well, what characteristics these guys have? And I'm always thinking like you think. Back in the day, you had all the fighting action stars, and so I'm like, in martial arts, you can be that superhero, right? Whatever you like about them, you can do that. You can defeat the bad guy. You can jump higher, kick faster, whatever. Half the kids these days like villains, by the way. Oh yeah, that's a big shock for me.
Really?
They're picking these villains. Oh, I like this. I'm like, what do you like about them? Whatever. It's never bad because they're kids. But so that's my path.
So let's stay there for a little while, because origin stories and superheroes are a really big part of my upbringing, and then also my family. We consumed all of Marvel before they went woke, and like that. So who were your heroes growing up? You said you did martial arts kind of like it was a sport. It was just something you had to do when you were a kid. But who were your heroes growing up?
I was probably of the era that you had a $6 Million Man.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, he was good.
Austin.
Steve Austin. You had yeah. Other day is funny. We had Batman back in the day.
Right.
And my students asked me the other day. They said, could you beat up Batman? Well, I'm 57 years old. I don't want to beat up anybody, right? But I was like, I think the original Batman. Not the latest jacked up Batman. Yeah, with all that stuff. But anyways, Batman.
The Batman that didn't have a clue.
Right? Oh yeah, he was the worst ever, man. Gosh, that was so funny. It's comical to look back now. That was because nowadays when you have CGI and these guys capable of doing what they do, but back in the day it was just Batman and Robin. They'd climb at the building sideways with that little rope, and oh man, it's so funny. What a change.
Yeah, no doubt. So origin story for the Williamsburg Dojo. Now what were you doing professionally before the dojo?
I was like a general sales manager of a Honda dealership.
Okay.
And it's sort of
that sounds like a Karate Kid type story. He was wax on, wax off.
When that came out, all my friends started teasing me. It was, but no matter, I was 60 hours a week for a long time, 27 years I think, and my martial arts always kept me going, and it was something, a higher purpose. Along with my spirituality, of course, and my my religion, but it was always something greater, better than just moving Hondas out in the street.
Right.
It's funny you said earlier. We talked before, and you mentioned about having some practices that help you with your anxiety. When I went through my most difficult times in the car industry, I would go by my dojo first, and I would sit very quietly. And in the art of Silat, I'll correct you because it's a weird thing, right? A C in Indonesian, the language is cha.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's really weird. Sometimes people tell me they're proficient in the art and they say it the wrong way. I'm like, well, probably not.
Wow. I even went on Google to find the pronunciation of it, and so I pronounced it wrong.
Yeah, it's just.
Wow.
It's
so
Pencak.
How do you say it?
Yeah, it's with C is a cha, so it's Pencak Silat.
Okay.
And there's a lot. I've been all through Indonesia, and they have different origins of where that word came from, the art. And Silat is close to Kilat with a K, which is lightning. And it's a fast art. And then Pencak means that it has to be artistic and pretty. So the art it has to look good. It has to have flavor. It has to have some styles called Gaya. So if you did with karate, with kata, you'd have people that really had a snap, and they had a face, and they had all this.
Right.
And Pencak Silat, you would have to have all of that.
One thing I didn't appreciate about the Okinawan form that we had was it very rigid. It wasn't like a flowy type. I looked at Jackie Chan. Of course, that's a lot of that is he came from the circus.
Yeah.
So a lot of that was very much for show. But Kung Fu had everything was round.
Big circles.
And it seemed to me like in Okinawan, everything was straight. It was either forward or sideways, and kind of like playing chess, and I like the ones that are more, more flowy forms, and I just haven't had the opportunity to check many out. Like I'm ignorant when it comes to the variations of martial arts. I only know a few.
Yeah, most of us do, and even kids would come to my school, and their parents later would say, "Hey, this is great karate. It's really helping my kid." I smile and go, "Thank you." It's like we're not doing karate, but most people know karate. Everything's karate. In our style, going back to my stressful times at work, we have talking about the pretty part of it. It's called kembangan. It means ever expanding flower, and it's a dance, and then it's a meditative practice. And one of my students is a professor at VCU, and he wants to do studies on does it actually change your brain waves.
Oh, sure.
So you move into not a trance, right? But move into a state of movement, harmonious movement. And I would do that before work, going back to being so stressed out. And when I would do that, my whole day would be better, like your day would be better. So my art would actually find a way to help save me from, maybe at that point I'd be going to substance abuse or whatever, and instead I would dig into it. Our art is more flowy than Kung Fu.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, love to check it out.
It's pretty cool. Like the Dutch occupied Indonesia for 350 years. The Japanese were there for 2 years doing horrible things. And during the day, they would have the performers, the dancers come in, do these intricate, beautiful dances. And then at night, those same techniques and hand movements and all this stuff would be used on them at night in the jungle.
Right.
And
Wow.
some of my gurus would be like, well, when my grandfather fought the Japanese, he would do this. And he'd show me like his hand movements and the way he'd just move. And it's beautiful, but deadly.
Yeah. Wow. Fantastic. So one of the types of stories that really kind of inspires me are those stories of failure that lessons were learned or ultimately became kind of a catapult to success. We like to call it the what the fail. So the WTF portion of the show.
That's good. Yeah.
And where can you find a time, or perhaps it was, you're touching on it a little bit, where you kind of did that ultimate face plant in life, and then your routine, or you snapped into some way of thinking that rocketed you out of that bad place.
Yeah. My family's tends to substance abuse, alcoholism, and things like that, whether it be opioids or whatever. So in the past, I've had 3 knee replacements, and I think I broke this one again. By the way, I've had this one replaced twice, and I keep breaking it, so it's sort of crazy.
What are they making them out of? Glass?
The physicians or the surgeon said, I put even more cement on it. You won't break this one, and now I feel like it's loose. But so for me, my failures in life have usually been leaning towards any sort of substance abuse. Broke my back a few times, and so I would tend to move into that. And always, my martial arts would pull me back out of it, because if I found that I wasn't clear in my mind, direction, focus, whatever, I can't operate. As a martial artist, I have a bunch of black belts, and I've been the head of this style in the U.S. for a couple styles. So whenever I would dull myself, and it would feel good to be dulled, like emotionally perhaps, in my martial arts, it wouldn't allow that. There's a problem.
Right.
And usually some of my top students are my closest advisors, and, hey, you okay today? And okay. So it's always drugged me back. And, so that was the last time I really had to sort of dig deep was in 2019. And I left the car dealership, went overseas to Vietnam and traveled throughout Southeast Asia. And I just, did a little bit of a spiritual pilgrimage. I can't even pronounce that right.
Pilgrimage, yeah.
Thank you. And
that's how you say it in Indonesia, though. The way you said it.
Thank you. They know that. And it sees a chuck. But yeah, so my martial arts have always brings me back to center. It doesn't allow me, the process that will not allow me to move away from it.
Yeah. Yeah, the practice that I developed out of reading and listening to audiobooks, one of them in particular saved my life, and that is the My Miracle Morning, or The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Mm-hmm. He talked about the 5 or 6 practices of the most influential and successful people on the planet. So the ones that they all had in common were silence or prayer. Mm-hmm. So silence, reading, writing, affirmations, and visualization. Those were the 5. And so I did a variation. Oh, and exercise was the other. Mm-hmm. So I started a variation of that when I was having trouble thinking because of my anxiety. And I went through a period where I was uncomfortable leaving the house, and I couldn't drive because I was so distracted and anxious. And after implementing those routines, and you spoke earlier about that silence, going and sitting in silence. Oh, yeah. That is such a powerful thing, because we are crazy loud in our minds. Our minds are being pulled in so many different directions. We have so many thoughts. Just the practice of not speaking and sitting there and just concentrating on your breath is, this is better than any medicine that I've ever taken for, anxiety or depression. A cold shower, is another thing. I don't have to take ibuprofen after I take a cold shower. Right. Just different practices like that, it's 3 minutes of very, very uncomfortable bathing when you're taking a cold shower.
Yeah.
But when you're done, the room's warmer,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
feel better, so
Yeah.
why not do these little practices that really can do a lot. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So what can you share maybe a story of somebody that has really benefited greatly from coming to the dojo? Or
I can't. I have.
we probably have too many, but maybe one that kind of jumps out like right now.
I'll give you a group of people,
Okay.
and that's teenagers who we tend in my school, maybe to all schools, tend to accept everybody for who they are, and we have kids that cut themselves. We have kids that have been trafficked. We have kids that I've had. They're not with me now, so they've gotten older. So I don't mind saying, but we've had parents abuse them. And in the dojo, you come in and you sort of trust the process. These kids, a lot of these kids are really lost. And we don't do spirituality, or religion, or dharma. We just say, hey, you're one of us. You're part of the Indonesian way is to have a tribe of people. So even in my school, I'm the guru, but I don't consider myself important. The kid that's cutting themselves is more important to me, I think, than me. So if I step out, like tonight, somebody else is teaching. That kid, if they're lost, they're lost. So, a group of people that really is affected and helped are the teenagers. They have no elders anymore to help them. They have no role models. You got no Jackie Chans or anybody that we say, hey, man, he would always win. They have these talking heads on Instagram who are 20 years old making millions of dollars in YouTube who are telling them how to be, and they're body shamed from social media.
Right.
So we just sort of have I think the martial arts community is usually pretty accepting of people, I think, at most schools. And I think it's done, it's done a lot of work for us. I had one girl who was a Satan worshiper. And she came in and everybody's like, how are you going to let her wear that 666 on her stuff? And I said, it doesn't matter to me. As a Christian, I will embrace her, help her. And over time, after about a year or two of her being accepted and became part of the group, she started to shed all of that stuff she was using to get attention. And
that's what it is most of the time, isn't it?
It's
a cry for help. It's a, hey, do you notice me? Do you notice that I'm in pain? One thing we need to remember as Christians is it is His kindness that leads us to repentance. So a lot of times it's the pointing finger that people think, or the pointing out the flaws, so that like they don't know that they're that they have this trouble. I don't know that I am this way or that way. I do know. You don't have to tell me, and I don't want you pointing at me. But the kindness aspect is what we really need to bring back, and not necessarily bringing the truth is important, but bringing it in love is more important.
It is.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Right on. Yep.
That's great. So, how do folks get involved with Williamsburg Dojo? You got a pretty decent website.
Yeah, it is. I don't do a lot of marketing, social media, stuff like that. We're there. I don't want to sound like an advertisement, but we do have like everything. We have like yoga, which it helps people greatly. We have a meditation class Saturday mornings. We just sit quietly. Even my friend, a professor, right at VCU, is always like, yeah, just turn the music off. Have a little music playing, and all of a sudden it's quiet. And then you start to get deep. I had to think about that. It really is much more potent. A little bit of music, background noise, or none. It's a huge difference for.
So is the little bit of music deeper, or is it
less? It gives you something. Yeah. When you said silence, it is a big deal. So, so meditation, fitness classes. We do performance arts, Indonesian dance. We have like 2 classes of just Indonesian dance, which is really beautiful. So no contract. Find online. Come try. WilliamsburgDojo.com. Come try it out.
Yeah.
And come with all your baggage and your failures and all your stuff, and trust that there's a process that will help you. And interestingly enough, my first guru was Muslim, and he said when he came to train me, he said because Indonesia is 98% Muslim. And he said, what's your religion? I told him. He goes, okay, good. That's how you train. I'm like, because sometimes in Japanese arts, no offense to anybody, but they want you to do their thing. Right. One style wanted me to become Buddhist. One wanted me to bow to all these ancestors and stuff, and I was never comfortable with that. It's just for me, nobody else. So he told me, he said, you practice your martial art as you are.
Right.
don't convert, don't
That's
whatever.
smart.
Yeah. Anyways, online, we have a website and stuff.
Very cool. So what's next? So you've been doing this for 15 years.
This art, yeah. I sort of see myself as an ambassador to Indonesia from the U.S., but I don't have the office. I tend to, right now, in 30-some days, we're going to Indonesia to train over there, teach a little bit, train a little bit over there, and I'm taking a bunch of Americans, and we'll go into Indonesia and show them that, hey, Americans are pretty cool. We're not all Islam haters, but we're not all racist, whatever they think, man.
Right.
They get all the
Yeah,
news.
if they're watching social media.
That's all they get, yeah. And so we showed them that we're pretty nice, we're giving, caring, and so we'll go through Jakarta, Bandung, all through Java, end up in Bali, and so that's my next. I tend to want to spread sort of the Americans are all right, our martial arts are really good, and we're decent.
Right. My wife and I are doing some work in Puerto Rico, and it's very important for me to let folks know as I go down there, I am not trying to implement my culture. I'm coming there because I love your culture, and I want to assimilate into your culture, and learn more about it. That's great.
Beautiful.
So now Indonesia is like thousands of islands, isn't it? Is that Indonesia?
Oh yeah, 14,000 islands.
14,000 islands. So I mean, I would have to imagine that there are parts of Indonesia that have never seen a white man.
Man.
Is it kind of like that? Or what?
It is. It's like once the Dutch left in the 1940s, World War II, there's a whole generation. Once the Dutch left, they left under prejudice because they've been occupiers for 350 years. So older generations know them. Then the new generation really doesn't. So I go to parts of Sumatra, and it's weird. I'll go sometimes in Sumatra. I'll go and there'll be a queue. They know I'm coming somewhere. They'll have the people lined up to take photos. They want selfies. It's so weird. And people go, "Oh, does it make you feel good?" I'm like, "No, I don't do anything. My skin's white. I'm not doing anything. I don't deserve selfies." One little girl, she waited for me, and she took a photo. And her friend said that she drove over 3 volcanic ranges on a moped because she heard that the American was here. And so people go, "Are you worried about being over there?" I'm like, "No, they're nice."
That's amazing. That's a big responsibility.
Yeah, it is. It's good though. It's good.
Yeah.
And they give back. As you know, you go to Puerto Rico and you deal with people, and they may not have much, but they'll give you.
Right.
They'll feed you. They will take care of you. Make sure you're.
When you're kind, I notice when you put forth an effort to learn a couple of their words, and greet them as they would greet someone. The light, you could see the light shining from their face. This person is trying. This American is trying.
That's huge. Yeah. You can't go over there with the resort mentality like in Puerto Rico. You can't go over there and be that. You can't be that American. Get me another towel. Do this. Do that. Whatever. Yeah. Leave that alone, and you go into the different places. Don't act like that, right?
Yeah, you start bringing out the gringo-hating mob, as my sister calls it. She lives down there. She's got a couple Airbnbs, and she says closer to the city, there are some places you don't want to go as a white man.
Oh my God, yeah, anywhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like my wife would be like, "I'm worried about you going here." I'm like, "Listen, I went to Richmond yesterday." So we have I bring them over here as well. Some of my teachers are from Indonesia, and they're worried. They're like, "Oh man."
Oh, because they see only the social media
only
about the U.S.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're just school shootings, and they're gonna get mobbed and stuff. So that's one of the reasons, like being an ambassador. I joke, I'm tongue in cheek, but hey, we're okay when we go over there. When you come over here, we bring them here and go everywhere, and you'll see that we're okay. It's not what portrayed in the media.
Right. Yeah. Cool, Chris. Really great to meet you, man. So the website is where people go to get involved.
Yeah, I think at williamsburgdojo.com. They can anything. My phone number's on there. They can text me, call me, and they can reach out any way like that.
Okay. One last question, and I love asking this question, and that is, Chris Robinson of Williamsburg Dojo. What do you need most right now?
Wow, you're asking me a Chris question. So I'm supposed to ask other people questions, is that right? So like daily, what's your mantra, right? So I think I need peace in my life, right? I try to mantra every day. I look at my day. What do I need this next day or whatever? Going to Indonesia, 13 flights, at least 13 flights. And with 10 people from a few different countries, and I'm trying to orchestrate all this with the school, I just need peace. I need to, find peace for myself every day a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, great. No, that's amazing. And the least we can do is pray. So we will do that. But Chris, really great to meet you. I look forward to visiting your dojo.
Please come.
This is really neat. I have my instructor, the only instructor that I ever had, Wayne L. Eaton. Well, we didn't always get along, but while I was there, I submitted and respected.
Yep.
One thing that he said, well, two things. One is you teach best what you need to learn most, and the other is, and let me get this right, and it's slipping my mind right now. But the mutual respect that a teacher and student need to have in a functional good relationship is so important. So, Chris, really great to meet you, and I thank God for this. Because this is the first time we met. How did you learn about Morning Fuel?
I don't know. It was you were posted. Somebody had been Virginia Gazette or Daily Press.
The WY Daily. WY Daily. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, and I looked into it. I said, man, this guy's got to. I love what you do, right?
Oh, cool, man. Thank you.
Oh, man, we need so much more of this than.
I believe so.
Yeah, so much more of this, and people are real, and people's pains are real. People even coming on here talking about addiction and stuff like that's real. Anxiety, and so we're all human. You're a big, strong guy. You have anxiety, right?
Yeah.
I can handle myself. I tend to prone to in the day since up to 2006. Really, I drink too much. Right. But we can overcome these things.
Yeah, we can.
And by showing your weakness and how your spiritual side helps you, it's just wonderful. So thank you for doing what you do.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. Like I said, it's one of my favorite things to do. And speaking of drinking, being able to overcome things. Sometimes you just need to try it. I love a good beer and I love some whiskey. But I'm taking the next 90 days to be sober.
Yep.
So, I'm going to see how I feel. And if I feel amazingly better than I did before, why would I ever go back to drinking?
And it may not make any difference at all. And maybe that's okay too.
Yeah. Right.
You'll find out though.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, man. You
Thank
too.
you for coming on.
You too.
Appreciate you.